Welcome everyone to the third round of the Norway Chess 2025. We have a great battle here between Koneru Humpy, India #1 versus Sara Khadem, a very strong player now representing Spain but originally from Iran. Humpy opens the game with 1d4. Humpy started off this tournament at Norway Chess with a win over Vaishali, and then she lost her next round to Anna Muzichuk. Now she's playing Sara, and knight comes out to f6 and pawn to c4 played here by Humpy. Pawn goes to e6 for Sara Khadem. She's opening up her bishop here. Humpy plays her knight out to f3, and generally at the highest level we see pawn to d5. The queen's gambit declined, and that is what Sara plays here. d5 on the board, and here Humpy can choose to play the Catalan, but usually she likes playing her knight out to c3. So it's queen's gambit declined, and now knight comes out to d7. Interesting move here. Takes on d5. And pawn takes d5 has been taken. And Humpy can now play bishop to g5, but she plays queen to c2. And it's a useful move, taking control of this diagonal. And the queen is very well placed here. c6 played by Sara. And black is just going to play bishop e7, short castle, very typical play. And Humpy goes bishop f4. And this is interesting. To develop the bishop on this diagonal is cool, because you could also put your bishop here, putting pressure in the center, but bishop f4, the bishop stands well on this diagonal, and Humpy wants it to remain there, which is why she goes h3. Because when the knight comes to h5 to take the bishop, it can simply drop back to h2. Black castles here, and white now puts the pawn to e3. Now bishop d3 is an idea. You can also think about long castle. Rook e8 played here by Sara. And one of the plans here is to go knight f8. So bishop comes out to d3. And this is a very interesting maneuver. Knight f8, knight e6, hitting the bishop. She does play knight to f8. While this game is being played in 2025, this opening has a lot of contours of something that's very classical and would have been played many years ago. So short castle by white, and knight comes out to e6. Of course Humpy wants to keep this bishop, so she's going to go bishop h2 here. Pretty sure about that. Yes, she puts her bishop on h2. White has some very interesting plans in such positions. Rook b1, b4, b5, the minority attack. But Sara goes for this very interesting plan, which is to go knight g7 and bishop f5. And she has used 28 minutes on her clock, while Humpy has used 23 minutes. And Humpy goes for this knight e5 plan. It's a nice move, getting the knight into the center. And maybe she wants to go f4 and f5. And that would really unleash her position. So Sara has to tread carefully here, because she cannot afford to make mistakes. Knight g7, it's a good move with the plan to trade this very strong bishop on d3. Bishop f5, but Humpy goes g4, stops exactly this move. And very now critical to go knight d7 and get rid of this knight. But Sara goes rook f8. This is a bad move. This is very passive. This has actually not so many plans as such. Maybe she wants to go knight e8, knight d6 now, rerouting there. But f4, I love how Humpy has taken charge of this position. She goes f4. She cements her knight in the center of the board. And pawn to c5 played here by Sara. She's striking in the center. She wants to get her pieces activated. And f5. Ooh, Humpy is all out for the attack. She's going all in, and guys, threat is g5, f6. So she goes c4, first attacking the bishop. The bishop has to drop back. Pretty sure that that's what Humpy is going to do. Yes, bishop e2. And sometimes, when we are not very strong players, we do feel like moves like g4, f4, f5 is weakening our position. But strong players know exactly when to expand and when their king is safe. Now here, Humpy's king is in the open, but none of the black pieces can come to attack it. So king h8 played, and now a very good move is just king h1, rook g1, and trying to attack here. But Humpy goes for this very, very interesting move, a3. I'm a bit confused, but I believe what she wants is to stop bishop b4, taking here and knight jumping to e4. She wants to avoid that, which is why she played this little move a3, and her opponent instantly goes wrong, queen e8. Maybe the better move here was a5, rook a6, trying to defend along the 6th rank. It was a creative defense, but now Humpy, once again, on the offensive, knight g4, with the idea of bishop e5, putting pressure on f6. And if you take here, I'm going to take back hg4. So queen goes back to d8. And you can sense it that Sara is not feeling comfortable in this position. King h1 by Humpy. Next up, bishop to d7 played here. Trying to connect the rooks. And, well, it's time to go bishop e5. No, she goes knight e5 back. So knight was here on g4. She goes back to e5 square. And bishop to c8 played by Sara. Both players are hesitating a bit, but Humpy's position is so much more superior. I love this move, rook f2, because she is now bringing in the other rook to the game on g1. You go knight e8, and if black is successful in getting the knight to this e4 square, then maybe the position is fine, but Humpy is quick to again go knight g4. And I guess her point is, if you go knight to d6, then bishop e5, and there is a very dangerous, nasty pin. She takes on knight, knight takes g4 on the board. And h takes g4 has been played. And now Sara goes bishop g5. She's putting pressure on the e3 pawn. And bishop to f3, putting more pressure on the d5 pawn here. She takes on e3. And the rook goes to e2 square. The bishop drops back, and now it's time to take the pawn on d5. Yes, oh, she takes it with the knight here. Knight to d5, and maybe black can go bishop d7 with the idea of bishop c6. A good move there by Sara. And maybe Humpy would take the pawn on c4. No, she comes back, knight c3. Black is fighting here. It's not like the position is completely gone. Knight f6 seems like a good move here, but queen b6, maybe not the best. Not at all the best move here. She is putting pressure on the d4 pawn, but knight e4, hitting the bishop, that seems like a great move. Humpy is now thinking there's also bishop e5 check, but it will be met with f6, so she finds knight e4. A great move. The bishop is hanging, you have to save the bishop, but where exactly should the bishop go? The bishop goes back to d8. And white has almost got a super dominant position. d5 played by Humpy. And maybe you can get bishop g1 to d4. Oof, that would be epic. Rook c8. And now a check gets the bishop into the attack. And I guess you have to play f6 now. So pawn to f6, and she brings her bishop back to c3, and this bishop is absolutely killer. Next move g5 coming in. So rook king comes to g8, and now rook g1. Queen d2. The queen is coming in. It's beautiful how this attack is building step by step. Knight comes to d6. And are there any tactical possibilities? Humpy goes knight g3. She's not trading here. She could have also taken on d6, but this is a nice move. Knight g3, knight f7, and now the knight can jump to h5, but Humpy goes bishop d4 first, attacking the queen. Queen has to move. She goes queen a6. On the cards is this very interesting exchange sacrifice with rook e6. But it's very difficult to play it, in a practical game. But Humpy goes for it. Beautiful move. Wow. Humpy is like in top form here. She plays her rook to e6, attacking the queen. Bishop takes on e6. And now f takes e6 is just the right way to capture. The knight is coming to f5. The bishop is coming here. Knight to g5 attacking here. How to finish it off is the question. Bishop g2. First, always be calm, Don't rush when you have positional dominance. Bishop a5. The queen is attacked here. Maybe c3 is what black wants to do next. And Humpy goes queen to e3. Goes bishop b6, trading the pieces here. If black can trade off few pieces, that would be good for her. But e7, now threatening to take the rook and make a queen, so rook e8 is kind of forced. But can we now just simply go with another pawn forward? Yeah, that seems like a killer blow now. d6. And she pushes it forward. If you take here, I take back with the queen, defending this. d7 is coming in. Knight is coming to f5. Oh my goodness. It's a completely dominating game here by Humpy. She's played this against one of the finest players in the world, and Sara resigns. Humpy scores a dominant win, and she moves in as the leader of the tournament along with Anna Muzichuk. 6 points here for Humpy. 3 points for every win, and this was a clinical win. In fact, Humpy just managed to make one strong move after another and takes home the full point, and she will be looking to face very soon the world champion Ju Wenjun, and that will be a struggle to behold.